again, I have to be careful with this because I am judging, looking at it through the paper's eyes, just like somebody may do with your story as well.
And a lot of them do. Yeah. I till this day, like I tell my husband, like, oh, well, you an angry person? And I was like,
this is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
People would ask me, have you ever been offered a bribe? And I would say I would never take a bribe because of the embarrassment to my family. Like so this has got to be a source of somewhat embarrassment to your family. How did they take it?
In the beginning, a lot of my family stopped talking to me.
Now,
not all, most of them did.
Did you tell them beforehand what the crux of the investigation was?
It did, yeah. And one of them kind of turned on me really quick to judge. They're like, okay, we'll see what happens, And they were like, everyone was just acting weird. And I can understand why. Now I can understand why. Then no.
There's always a reason behind those actions. There's
which ones?
Behind any type of excessive force or some sort of police bad behavior. Let's chalk it up to that.
Sure.
There's always a reason behind it, and very few people ever ask that question. Do you ever think why the guy's drinking crazy? Do you ever think why the guy's behavior is changing? Do you ever think why he's starting to jack people up on the street?
There's issues going on behind the scenes that no one knows about.
Yeah.
And then that's where, and I'm kind of glad now where mental health is getting to be more open and, discussed.
But back then you didn't want to seek mental health because you'd be labeled.
So I'm going to say yes and no with mental health. Okay, I'm going to say yes and no. Yes, it is. They're dumping a ton of money into it because it's a hot button right now. But very few people. Mike and I we try to stay away from this portion of it. It's being very whitewashed. Do you know how many times? I'll give you for instance. If I call this show "The Suffering of Suicide," we will be demonetized because it must be whitewashed. Everything must be whitewashed. The problem in police world, we've stayed silent for so long because we're worried about the stigma being attached to it.
Exactly.
And if I'm silent, guess what? I'm complicit.
Yep, exactly.
So in here, there has been shows where we have been demonetized where Mike and I will go, fuck it.
Fuck it. Let's keep it in.
Fuck it. Who gives a shit?
It's sending a message out. It's sending a message out that people need to hear.
Absolutely.
We don't care if we make money off of this thing. Well, don't tell YouTube we said that.
Yeah,
but
well.
It's things that need to be heard.
Absolutely.
That people are afraid to talk about, especially in law enforcement.
Just like you were afraid to talk about what was going on inside your head. You had the death of your son, murder, suicides. You had all this shit going on, your parents. You had all this shit going on. You're afraid to talk about it. And guess what? The end result, it costs you a lot more than sitting there and open up to somebody.
You are the end result.
I will tell you, after I got arrested and before I pled, I drank my ass off. And I'll never forget, I was going fucking crazy. 2 homes, 2 cars, a parent, an 8-year-old. Oh, what the fuck? What's going on here? What's going to happen? Holy shit, what are we going to do? I drank so much, I popped sleeping pills. I really did not want to wake up the next morning. I figured that would be the easy way of just squashing this whole thing.
I said it all the time, when I was going through my real down period, I never contemplated suicide, but I went to bed every night saying, if I don't wake up tomorrow morning, it's probably not a bad thing.
I used to drink myself to sleep. Yeah, I couldn't sleep.
Trust me, I've tried to kill myself many times. I'm not very good at it, and it's more difficult than you think.
Kevin, I'm glad that they took my weapons from me, because if I would have had them, I definitely, more likely, under the drunken state, I would have probably ate 3 ounces, 4 ounces?
Because you're crying.
No problem.
You're crying yourself to sleep. Yeah. You don't know where you go. Your future is very, very chaotic and questionable.
But let me ask you now, what would that have solved?
Exactly. But you go through that point. You go through that point where you don't want to see the next morning.
But
right? You know what I'm saying? You just don't want to see the next morning. It's
so you're in an irrational mindset at that point, and we're sitting here with 3 semi-lucid people. And because he's still questionable.
2.5.
Yeah, he's like half. We're sitting here, 3 reasonable people, and what's Doc Steph always tell us? You're trying to rationalize an irrational behavior.
Correct.
So what was the final outcome of it? What was the verdict? You took a plea, you said, right?
I plead guilty, yes.
So what'd you plead to?
Conduct unbecoming of an. I'm sorry.
Official misconduct.
Official misconduct under the color of law, whatever the actual title is.
That's the catch-all.
So it's my understanding that's 5-year minimum.
I was so now the proceeding, everything's going on and on and on. So I had my lawyer, and then we get all the discovery. And I'm looking at it, like if you look at it, everything looked like this, black. I'm like, what the fuck is this? He goes, that, my friend, is throwing you under the bus. Okay, fine, no problem. I accepted it. Okay, we go forward. And at first, I was looking, because federal does months, not years, anywhere between 97 to 110 months. And I'm like, that's fucking 10 years.
I'm trying to calculate.
Yeah, I'm like, that's
January,
that's,
February, March.
Yeah. I'm like, that's 10 years. He goes, yeah. I said, for that? I said, I was on loan and did 10 times worse with other guys. I was like, we like shit. He goes, wow, this. I was like, I said, this happened. I got arrested in 15. I didn't get sentenced till 18.
So that's 3 years of it building on your brain.
And what'd you get sentenced to?
42 months.
And you did that in federal?
Yeah. I didn't do the full 42 months.
Is it good behavior, stuff like that?
I left after 22.
So when you...
Are they still looking for you?
No.
You step in...
I have to make light of it. Yeah. I was down in Florida. I had the fucking best tan ever.
When you step into that jail cell, being a former cop...
Well, I had to take myself there. I had to self-surrender.
You had to try...
I flew.
Like fucking Henry Hill. Now take me to jail. You flew down there. I hope you flew first class at least.
No, I didn't fly. No.
One last hurrah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you going in there
Join the Mile High Club.
with myself. You go in there as a former officer, there's got to be some trepidation.
There's a lot. When I first got there and I was looking, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I'm like, this is insane. Like I said, mind you, leading up to this, I'm still throwing it back. I was really hoping to end it or find a way or get hit by a car or get crashed into a car, get into a car accident. So just anything. I would drive fucked up all the time. Listen, I wasn't good. I actually drove my daughter to dance school fucked up all the time. That's not normal. That's not good. That's sad. That's disgusting. And that's not a man.
But now you're looking at a 42-month rehab.
Yeah, well, it took a minute to get to that thought.
Forced rehab.
Yeah.
You know, it took a minute to get to that thought.
So I've often heard, I've never been in prison, I'd often heard you're as reformed as you're going to get the first time that door closes on you. Is there any truth to that?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Talk about reality. It's like dying with your eyes wide open. Phone calls limited to 15 minutes. You got to wait a good half hour to make a phone call. Your emails, you can send one now. It's 8 o'clock. You won't get a response back for 90 minutes. You're detached from the outside world. The only thing you know is what's on TV, or if you have a radio, and that's it. And you write a letter. What's that going to take? A week or so.
Right.
So you're really detached from everything.
Right.
And you're not treated like. Listen, it was bad, and it was the good and bad spots. You know, you had good and bad to it. But I took the high road. I was like, listen, I'm gonna do this. I cleaned up. I actually taught in there. I taught some construction stuff. I was doing construction on the side, before going away. I went to work every day. I kept busy, kept my nose clean. Because you can get jammed up in there also if you want. There's a lot of things you can do. You can sell drugs. They have that's all legit. They have that there.
Yeah, don't you comply to your surroundings, and your surroundings aren't the most upstanding individuals in the world. When
I first walked in, I was like, I'm thinking I'm probably just going right to the hall. And they're like, you should be fine here. Come to find out, I was down in Florida, there's judges, former other cops. I met a couple other ones down there. As a matter of fact, I was down there with, what's his name?
Mike?
Volpe?
Oh, the Abner Louima.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, he was there.
Did they let him have a plunger in the cell?
He's fucking shot.
Yeah.
He's fucking shot. There's something wrong with him.
Well, is he still in? I think he's out now, right?
I think he got moved to Texas because something happened, and I think he should be out now. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think he's out now. God,
Volpe, that's
yeah.
that was right in my father's neck of the woods over there.
Oh man, that was bad.
But yeah,
that was an egregious just misuse. But again, I'm judging again. I have to be careful with this because I am judging, looking at it through the paper's eyes, just like somebody may do with your story as well.
And a lot of them do. I till this day, like I tell my wife, like, oh, well, you an angry person? And I was like, I was, yeah. I don't think I am. I mean, I don't think I am. Like, there's a lot of things I'm like, whatever, man. Just.
Well, did it change in prison?
Of course, you have to.
Well, your aggression, your anger.
Absolutely. You have to have patience.
Yeah.
You are told when to shit, piss, and eat.
Yeah, I am not fitting into the prison world.
You're even told when to go to sleep.
Because when I got a shit, there ain't nobody telling me whether I can or not.
I hear you.
It's coming.
Because I was in an open area, so you had to wait. They do count. You ain't moving until that count clears. You got to hold in. If you got to shit your pants, you shit in your pants.
Because it's like, CO, I have to go to the bathroom. You wait.
Yeah. Oh. Well, that's why they have those loose uniforms. So if you shit, it just goes.
It just rolls right out.
You got to understand. I'm finally at the point where my daughter, she was pissed when I came home. I lost probably about a good 5-6 years of her life.
Yeah.
And I was away for 2 of them.
So that first 2 years, that first taste of freedom, you get out there, you do 22 months. That first taste of freedom for you. What's the first thing you did? What food did you eat?
Well,
everybody remembers the food they ate.
I went to a place in Newark. I had to go to the halfway house. I had sausage and peppers.
I was going to say like chicken
You got to
parm.
understand, I also came out when it was COVID.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
is that why you got the early release?
No. They shot that all down. No.
Yeah.
No, I came out.
COVID didn't count in jails.
You probably came out going, I didn't leave the world like this. What the hell's going on?
It's like, so that was another shell shock. I'm like, whoa, holy shit.
Yeah.
But I kept doing my thing, just keep positive. Got another job. I started, as soon as I came out, I hit the ground running. Got a job, got a car. They gave me a car. It was great. So I was working.
That's doing construction?
I started in sales again. Went back to sales, construction equipment sales.
I always said that sales are the one thing everybody can get, even criminals.
Yeah. And I was doing good, but I needed to get back into the workforce. So I did all my certs, got them all back, and ended up getting another job. And I'm there 2 years, superintendent for a civil construction company, doing great.
So
good for you.
What you've had all that stuff taken away. So you have a different appreciation for those things that got taken away.
Oh, we take freedom for granted. A lot of people take freedom for granted, and not just law enforcement. I'm talking about the United States. People in the United States take freedom for granted.
I'm the first one to tell you, I took freedom for granted until I went to rehab, and then I realized what freedom is.
Sure.
I truly understood what freedom was, and all this stuff that I took for granted. I did make a commitment to. Now, do I backslide sometimes? Of course I do.
Sure.
Where I start taking it for granted. I just have to think back to that one time when I got everything taken away.
And a finger up your ass.
He was gentle. He was gentle, and he was a slight man, so his hands were kind of small.
This short little thin
Yeah,
fingers.
it was small. I only think he went to the second knuckle, so we're all right. You go third knuckle deep. That's just rude.
That's love.
That's like you gotta watch you don't drop the bar of soap in prison either.
So you have a unique experience now if you were to speak to another police officer. And what do you think is the primary piece of advice that you give to another police officer who you may see, because you probably can see things that others can't. They're going down a road.
Absolutely.
What kind of advice do you give them?
Right out of the gate, it's okay not to be okay. It really is.
Exactly.
It's okay not to be okay. And it's funny how law enforcement and public safety goes hand in hand with construction. It's the same thing. Drugs, alcohol, divorce rate. And you see it's like, are you okay? Oh, I'm having a problem at home. Let's take a minute, relax. It's to help someone how to cope with certain things. Just having an ear and listening, having someone vent and following up with that person after that, making sure they're okay.
Just that next phone call after it.
Exactly.
We had a conversation the other day. Is everything good? Means a lot. That goes a long way.
Sure.
But there is some freeing things to construction work, because that's what I did when I first got out.
It's
You
good.
get
I
beat
like it.
things up with hammers and stuff.
And flashlights.
Legally.
There's a difference in police world. You can't, if Mike and I are working together and we get into it, and we get in, like seriously get into it, well, there's going to be an IA. You're going to have all sorts of problems.
Right.
In construction, you go over there, you whack it out, you do whatever you got to do.
I'll tell you, It's not.
No?
It's changing also.
That's a sin.
I'm doing resiliency work, so I'm working with City of New York. I'm working with FEMA. I'm working with DEP.
Yeah.
Like you still have to have a level of professionals. You can't just go F you and F this and that. You can't be angry. You can't, like, you have to.
That was the freedom of it. Listen, I had rebar swung at me many times.
I mean, the laborers, they get into. But when you get into the administration level,
low level.
Yeah, you have to, like, whoa, because you're representing
the grunt level. You could still get away with
exactly.
It was great though, because you had a problem, you hashed it out on the job, and then you went back to work, and you were fine. Mm-hmm. And you were fine. No, there was no pent up aggression. There was no fear of any repercussion.
I kid you, on the level that myself and others are on, there's a lot of politics. Not only with the unions, you have to deal with all the all the business agents, and they're, you know how they're like in New York.
You know, put the big rat out.
Exactly.
In front of your job.
That's an embarrassment. That, and then you work with all these major construction management companies, and they're all strict by the book, like ladders and safety. Like, people go to prison for failing to be safe on their work site.
Well, there's a whole different type of danger on construction sites that people don't realize.
But I would like to pass on how to cope with things.
Yeah. And what's a primary? I'm coming to you and I'm having some problems. What is the primary piece of advice, especially off of your own bad beats?
Don't be afraid to open up your mouth and say, "I need help." Just, what do you need? Just talk to me. I'll stay here. Whatever you want to do, I'll help you. I'll walk you through it. I'll take you where you want to go to. Let's not go to the bar. Let's go hang. Let's go talk.
Like I said, as alpha males, we're afraid to step up.
Of course, and that was
say you're feeling pain.
And that's a stigma. You said that was it. You, and that's why the thing nowadays is stop the stigma. You know, like, and it's difficult.
You've had an amazing journey.
Yeah. From
doing what you love to falling from grace.
And to being where you are now.
To being where you are now. Yeah. So you have to build yourself back up with fresh eyes and a brand new lifestyle. But you have suffered.
Yes.
And we're coming to the end of this thing, and we always end the show the same way. If you haven't learned from those things that you've suffered from, then it's really a wasted opportunity.
Absolutely.
So you went to prison, you lost your job, your family took a hit. What do you think your suffering has taught you?
Humble.
Yeah, it'll humble you.
Oh, yeah. Humble. Tomorrow's another day. One step at a time.
And I think that's a pretty good place to end it here. Dom, I really do appreciate you coming, opening up to us the way you did, owning it, which is super, super important.
Exactly. I mean, it's a terrible story, but you did own it. And I got the utmost respect for you, man.
You have to.
Really utmost respect.
Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to throw out?
Yeah, I say you have to have faith. Faith is the evidence of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
And why don't you give out your social media so our audience knows where to find you?
On Instagram?
Sure.
Actually, I forgot what it's.
Dom Lillo something.
It's Dom Lillo, yeah.
All right, so we'll put that on the the bottom as well.
Same as Facebook also, Dom Lillo.
I really do appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And
thank you for
Kev,
having me.
Also, while we're at it, we have a new prop in our studio. It's a book called Looking Within by Heather Prinzo, who is a very good, a daughter of a very good friend of mine and a family member of Dom's.
Yep.
It's all about. I mean, she teaches special ed, and she came out with this book. It's all about looking within someone and seeing what their inner being is all like, and not judging them by the outside. And like I said, you know me, I'm very involved in Special Olympics. I was just up at the Winter Games this week, and you see these athletes, and if you judge them by the outside, you know, you're going to judge a person all wrong. You judge them by what's in their heart. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's life-changing. This is an excellent book.
So we can find this on Amazon.
Amazon, yep.
Looking Within.
By Heather Prinzo.
And that's going to do it for this episode of The Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of Excessive Force with Dom Lillo. And let's think about all the stuff that we learned. Beware of D-battery flashlights.
First and foremost.
It's okay to not be okay. Let's try to break this stigma. But most importantly, be humble. Yeah. And that's going to do it for this episode. I want to throw a big shout out to one of our newest sponsors, and that's the Oakley Kitchen at 789 Bloomfield Avenue in Nutley, New Jersey. Of course, go to popple.com, get your digital business card, put in the code TSP20 for a 20% discount. Follow us on all social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Clapper,
OnlyFans.
Don't forget to follow Mike at Mike_Fillets. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. And, of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode.